Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. I am your host, Magic Barclay, and joining us again today is the lovely Genaaleen Sanchez, and we're talking all things energy today. Welcome, Genaaleen.
Hi, Magic. How are you?
Great. Now, Genaaleen, you're a results and mindset and wellbeing coach and agent of change, both in business and in life. We've spoken to you before on the podcast and really glad to have you back talking about energy today.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be back.
Great. Now, we talk, as you know, about all things health, wealth and weight loss here. So in relation to people's health, let's talk about the different types of energy that affect that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion is, I guess the peak state that we all strive for is to have energy flowing throughout our whole body, right? So, from your crown all the way to your feet and back up again. And what happens in our life is that we encounter certain developmental traumas, between that age of 0 to 7. We encounter other events in our life that if we suppress the emotions that we're feeling, we end up having energetic blocks in parts of our body. Working on yourself is actually an important activity, to remove limiting beliefs and trapped emotions that are sitting in your body, because it would be trapping the flow of energy that goes through you and therefore your coherence. And as we know, right, everybody has got electromagnetic energy that surrounds them. And that's the energy that attracts to them the experiences that they have in their life. So
Totally. Now, energy flows, whether you call it energy, chi, vibration, whatever it is. It flows through the meridians of the body. It flows through the chakras. If you believe in that, I do. And it also flows through the systems of the body. So we transport negative energy and waste through the lymph system. We transport positive energy and nutrients and oxygen through the cardiovascular system. But we are energetic beings. So that's why it's so important for us to have this conversation today. What I'm seeing a lot, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, and it's okay if you don't, that certainly in times of fear and anxiety and uncertainty that we have at the moment, that people's energy is being directly affected and the energy they're putting out is affecting others.
yes, that's true, because actually what you think about gets stored in your body. And if you have no way to release those emotions, and a lot of us tend to be in our heads a lot, and therefore we're thinking a lot, and we prevent ourselves from feeling what we need to feel. So if we're feeling anxious and sad, we pretend that's not there. And what happens is all those emotions get pushed down and get suppressed in one of your energy centers, depending what emotion it is. And because of that, it creates that, I guess, incoherence around you, which then affects the people around you.
And the organs of the body store energy. So certainly for one of the most important organs of the body being the liver, now just look at its name, it wants you to live. if we have fear, anxiety, aggression, frustration, they all preside in the liver. And the liver is your burning furnace in layman's terms. It has to deal with everything. All your blood travels through it every single day. It takes all the impurities out of your system. It categorizes nutrients and flows those onto different parts of the body. It also eliminates waste. So it signals the elimination of waste. Now, when you have it blocked by those trapped emotions, by those negative emotions, and by trapped energy, it really kind of stops it working, doesn't it?
Yes, and it gets in the way of, like, as you said, your chi or your flow. I mean, there's people who work in this space a lot. Like, I don't know if you've heard about Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yes,
but he's
love him.
yes, totally love him. So I've been to one of his week-long advanced retreats, and basically, in that work, he uses breath work to get all of those lower, like denser energies, out of your body so that you can be a creator in your life. So as you said, around that liver, there's a lot of like control that ends up sitting there. Your self-judgment is sitting there. And then further down, when you go into your like kind of sacral center, there's the guilt and the shame and the pain in your life and your unworthiness that gets stuck down there. And then further down, then we get into like sexual kind of dysfunction and shame. And unless we release this, either by feeling the feeling or doing a process around it, like breath, right? Then it's stuck there in our subconscious and it's stopping us from living that life that we love. Yeah, so it's really important to I guess invest in healing yourself and those things that may have happened to you through your life.
Now, Genaaleen, we both study with an amazing group, Authentic Education. I'm going to put a plug out there because they're well worth it. Now,
Yes.
we have learned a lot about the law of incomplete. And for the listeners, the law of incomplete is when something is unfinished, an unclosed loop in your mind, you keep going to that and your energy will go to that as well. So, for example, your garage is a mess, you don't know where anything is, and you just keep thinking, one day I'm going to get out there and sort out the garage, do a big clean out, do a tip run, whatever, or put things in boxes and label them, or send the children out to do it because I really don't want to face it, whatever it is. The longer the garage is left unfinished and untidy, the more you will come back to it. And your energy will go to that rather than to go to healing or personal development or something positive for you. Your garage is the monkey on your back.
Yes. I guess the other term for that are open loops. And what happens with these open loops is that it can sit in your subconscious. So even if you're not consciously thinking about it anymore, but you thought about it, I don't know, 5 days ago, my garage is a mess. It's sitting there in your subconscious and actually preventing those epiphany thoughts from coming in because it's kind of holding, a queue of thoughts back. So until you kind of satisfy your brain and write down what some of these incomplete thoughts or open loops are, then your brain will keep thinking about it in the background and it's holding your energy there. So your energy is kind of anchored in many different places instead of in the place that you want it to be anchored to, which is the business that you're creating, the relationship that you want, the family that you want, that kind of thing.
Totally. Now, in terms of wealth, being emotional, spiritual, or financial, how can your energy affect your wealth?
I guess it goes back to mindset, right? And whether you're living in a state of lack and scarcity. Because if you are living in that state of being, then it's difficult to attract that abundance in your life because everything to you occurs as lack and scarcity. So you then need to first, I guess, inquire into where that feeling is coming from. And it could be like a limiting belief that you created as a child. You made something, something mean that there's not enough in the world. And therefore you're living your life unconsciously as if you're never going to get enough. And what that creates is a personal reality, as Dr. Joe calls it, where you're recreating that same pattern from the past.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't have enough money, so I'm never going to have enough money, and I'll have to chase it even harder, put my energy to that, but I can't hold on to the money. So the more you think like that, the more it's going to keep happening. So that's where financially you need to do things like, well, not budget, because budgets can be quite controlling and quite negative, but you need to have, be it different bank accounts to set up for your rainy day fund or to set up for a big purchase, and just put snippets of your income into those buckets so that you can provide, and then remind yourself that you can hold on to money because you have those buckets set up.
Yeah, that thought of whether you can hold on to money or not hold on to money is actually a limiting belief. It's something that you told yourself when you were young, and it's something that you haven't revisited in your adulthood, because the stories and the labels that we tell ourselves can create the reality that we feel that we live in. So it's really important to look into those, as I said earlier, and figure out, does this belief still work for me today? Or do I need to shift this and release it and let go? Like if there's a sadness behind that, feel that sadness and let that go, that kind of thing.
Now, with spiritual and emotional wealth, it's the same thing. It's closing those loops, it's putting energy in a positive place, it's creating rather than exhausting. So, with spiritual wealth, whether you believe in religion or a greater power or a creator or Mother Nature or whatever it is that you believe, whether it's following a mantra or anything like that, it's creating the positive rather than focusing on the negative.
Yes. Everything that we go through in life has either a positive effect or a negative effect. And I guess getting connected to what our overall vision is for our life and what our overall mission is in this lifetime is a really important thing to think about, because obstacles will always get in your way, but it's about how you see those obstacles. Like, do you see them as your stepping stone, or do you see them as a stop sign, right? So your spiritual health and your spiritual wealth all comes back, I guess, to the state of your mind.
Yeah. And the same with your emotional wealth. And again, that directly relates to your energy. Where you put the energy in emotions is where it will lie. Now, whether that then sits in the organs of your body, whether it creates your next action or your influences your next decision, that emotion can be so powerful.
Yeah, because what we've done through our life is created certain neural networks that then dictate the proteins and hormones that our body creates. And without being aware of what's happening, we're inevitably addicted to some of these emotions, and it just keeps on going. And we're basically within our anatomy living from the past. So we need to get ourselves out of that kind of survival mode that we were living in and change the way that we think about things. So it's about creating new elevated emotions. It's about knowing what you want to create in your life, getting connected to who you really are. That will help you like transcend, I guess, where you are today. And I think, in our last conversation, Magic, we were talking about how I managed to like lose weight since November last year. And it was really there was a lot of healing that I did at that time. And, one of the areas that I actually store my emotions is around my solar plexus. So, as a child, I was very compliant. I didn't really speak up. And it's all been like kind of sitting there. So, getting connected to my emotions, what those are, how I was feeling, and kind of honoring myself has been instrumental in actually releasing some of that trapped energy, which is how I got to kind of where I am today. And it's an ongoing process, but that helps. It definitely helps because it's an anchor in the past that it doesn't need to be in the past anymore. I have things that I want to do in my life now. So yes, it's about
And
releasing them.
yeah, and totally talking about weight loss for
Yeah.
myself, I had so many trapped emotions and limiting beliefs that I put a fat armor on back in the day.
Yes.
I tried to
Yeah.
protect myself. If I wasn't attractive to anyone, I would be safe. I tried to protect myself thinking if I can comfort myself now with this food, then I will feel safe. Rather than
Yeah.
seeking comfort from within myself, I sought it from the food I was eating, from my fat armor, not just comfort, but the protection and the sanctuary. And it
Yes.
wasn't until I lost most of my weight that I realized the sanctuary was within me. I always had
Yeah.
it. I didn't need this envelope of fluffiness around me.
That's right. And you don't need the external validation either, because the opinion that counts the most is yours. It's your life. And therefore, if you're living it in your truth, then that's all that matters.
You mentioned validation and my ears pricked up. 7 core values that are known as shadow values that we all chase either in a positive way or a negative way. And when
Yes.
Genaaleen said validation, okay, so I'm just going to put it out there. I'm Magic Barclay. I'm a control freak. I seek validation all the time and I have a sense of superiority, but I seek them in a positive way. We've made these 7 shadow values mean something negative. Now, Genaaleen will quickly go through this list of shadows. I've already said validation, superiority, and control. Give us a couple more.
Sure. There's also attention, authority, belonging, and rebelliousness.
Rebelliousness is the one I have the least of. I have to put that out there.
I must say, Magic, I have to acknowledge you because you have done a lot of work in owning your shadow values. Because typically, these are our values that we don't really admit to. so it's something that definitely we've come across in the work that we do. Sometimes it's called secondary gain, and unless you are aware of some of these shadow values, um, they could actually be sabotaging your results, because they can be, as Magic said, expressed in a resourceful and an unresourceful way.
Totally.
So
Now, to
until
give you an idea of shadow values in play, we're going to ask you to, in your mind, walk into a party and there's a brand new baby there. I love this. I mean, it just sums it up, doesn't it? The baby has the attention of the whole room, whether you like it or not. They are superior to everyone in that room. Baby cries, everyone listens and looks, gets all the attention. It has rebelliousness. It doesn't follow the rules. You can have a conversation. Baby's going to, I don't know, spit up on you or cry or giggle or make something in its nappy, or it gets all the attention of the room. It's validated all the time. And the mum and the dad are validated by having the baby there. As I said, it controls the room. It has all 7 shadows in abundance. And it doesn't matter how interesting you are at the party, you just can't beat the baby. Isn't that right?
yes, and I guess between those ages of 0 to 7, or actually at the time of birth, you are your truest self. So you can express all of these values as you are, as they are. Now the glitch is as you're going through your life between 0 to 7, the adults around you tell you off for
being an
seeking to.
attention seeker.
That's right. For example, if you suddenly decided to jump on a coffee table, for example, then you get told off. And then in that moment, you say to yourself, oh, I better just kind of hide in the background and not stand out anymore. Because what you're protecting as a child is to be loved. Like, you just want to be loved. So if there's a behavior that you exhibit and then it gets, told off, or you get told off for it, then you say to yourself, oh, that's not allowed. So I'm never standing out again. So then you start hiding in the background and doing stuff in the background.
So you don't just lose the shadow or negatively fulfill the shadow of attention, but also of belonging. And certainly in the time of fear and strangeness, is that even a word? It is now, that we have at the moment, our sense of belonging is being cut. So you're seeing more Facebook groups pop up, more internet groups pop up, because people need that belonging. And that was a belonging that we once got from our family unit. Over the years, those have changed. We got it from our group of friends. We got it from a lot of places. And I think that is the shadow that people are losing at the moment, that sense of belonging. And this whole social distancing thing, I'm not going to get all political here, but it's cutting your sense of belonging, because you can't be with a group of friends and, feel their hugs and see their smiles, and everyone's trying to mask up or make you wear a mask now. So you're not getting that belonging from that, even if you're just walking, from that little smile from the stranger walking past you.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that particular one around belonging is each person expresses or interprets belonging in a different way. So for some people, it's about the touch. For some people, it's fine, that they're catching up with their friends and family on Zoom or on Facebook. But for other people, it's, especially I think that extroverts who have expressed themselves, they actually thrive in an environment where the people are around them. So, it's a difficult time for a lot of people because of the different values that they have as well in their lives. And that includes the shadow values that they have.
Now, the shadow values, as we said, actually make up your core, who you really are. Again, we're going to keep repeating ourselves here, but you can fulfill them in a positive way or in a negative way. But however you fulfill them, you put energy towards it. So whether it's me being a control freak, I can try and control everything around me and put all my energy into everything being exactly the way I want it, or, which is quite negative, or I can control things by making lists to outsource to my family or to my friends or to my co-workers, and I can fulfill the control by creating the list in a positive way. So I'm then able to put my energy back into myself. What's your opinion on that?
Well, the flip side of control is actually freedom. So when people say that they value freedom, there is actually a shadow value of control behind that, because freedom means you're able to do what you want when you want, and that requires a level of control. Now, the thing is, when you look at your life and you're finding areas of your life where things are not working, like for example, in a relationship, right? Some people sit there and wonder, oh, why don't I have a boyfriend, and that kind of thing. And it's not until they recognize that actually they value control in their lives, and that's what's stopping them from, opening up their lives to another person, because the perception is that they're going to lose that control. Then until they find that for themselves and become aware of that, they're going to go through life with that unconscious. And so that's why it's important to bring that out and to do self introspection and reflection, and also ask for that help, to change and shift the mindset.
Totally agree with you. I can't even add to that. That's fantastic.
And I mean, the other term, I guess, that people talk about is, like values conflict, and looking at your values and where they might be conflicting, which therefore means there's no movement in that area of life that you want movement in. Because you can think about it that I want movement in here, but if your state of being, if your values are not congruent with what that is, then you'll be held back.
Totally. And, energy goes where energy flows.
Yes. Energy goes where your focus is.
And focus is energy also.
Yes.
So, listeners, I hope you got something out of our rambling discussion today, because we really, really did want to share this insight with you, that no matter what hardships you're going through, it all comes down to your energy. It comes down to where you focus your energy, how you see your energy, and how you appreciate and value your energy. That be in your core values, your shadow values, in your focus, in whatever form it is. It can affect your health, your wealth, and your weight loss. And ultimately, it affects your life. So we really did want to bring this to you. Now, Genaaleen, people can find you on Facebook.
It's Genaaleen S. So GENAALEENS.
And also the same on Instagram.
Or they can Instagram.
They can email.
Or email me at GenaaleenSanchez@gmail.com.
Great. Genaaleen is happy to offer all the listeners here a vision and values discovery session. I highly recommend that you do that. It's just amazing when you can see what your values are, what shadow values are driving you or that you're running away from, and exactly where you can focus your energy. Again, thank you for joining us here on A Magical Life podcast, Genaaleen.
You're welcome, Magic. Anytime. Thank you.
Sorry you said that.
Anytime. I have fun.
Listeners, I've been spamming Genaaleen about coming back on, so I'm very grateful she's made time for us today. Now, coming up in episode 17, we have my lovely friend and also colleague Summer coming on, talking about relationships and how to find your best relationship or improve the one that you have now, not only with other people but with yourself. But for now, again, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, review, share our podcasts, and for now, go forth and create your magical life. Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.